Welcome, and thank you for joining us for today's DealerOn webinar, Boosting the Big Five of Merchandising for Bigger Profits. My name is Eliana Raggio, and I'll be your moderator today, and today's webinar is being presented by DealerOn. And for anyone who isn't familiar with DealerOn, well, we're an award-winning website development company and digital agency, and we're best known for our amazing SEO, the absolute best customer service, and the highest converting website designs in the industry, including the brand new Chameleon responsive website platform. We're so committed to lead conversion, optimization, and customer service that DealerOn is still the only company in the industry to offer a money-back lead guarantee program. You heard me right. So the question is, does your website company guarantee you a 50% lift in leads or your money back? Yeah, I didn't think so. So maybe you should check us out at DealerOn.com. By the way, that's a gorgeous brand new DealerOn.com website. We hope you enjoy it. Also want to let you know that DealerOn is going to be exhibiting and presenting at the upcoming Digital Dealer Convention in Tampa, Florida later this month. If you're going to be there, well, I'm going to be there, and I got to meet you. So please stop by booth 300 and say hi. We have the best booth around. No kidding. So much fun, and we'd love to get to know you. So while you're there getting your NADA on, stop by booth 300, and please also check out the speaking sessions from these DealerOn executives. And, yeah, DealerOn, let me tell you, DealerOn, we throw the best parties. If you haven't been to one, I don't know why you're denying yourself of the pleasure. Let me tell you. Well, guess what? We're going to be tearing it up in Tampa on Wednesday night, April 22nd at 8 p.m. So if you think you can handle this level of fun and awesomeness, well, here's what you got to do. You got to stop by the DealerOn booth 300 and pick up your pass for what is sure to be the must-go-to party of Digital Dealer. We hope to see you there. Oh, I already have some people who are writing and saying they're going to come. I love it. And we have a great show in store for you today. We are so very pleased to have Russ Daniels as our presenter today. Russ Daniels is the Product Marketing Manager at HomeNet Automotive, the only provider of a unified platform that helps dealers save time and sell more cars by getting inventory out of your system and in front of online shoppers. Russ has a strong marketing and training background, creating a comprehensive training tradition at HomeNet that is, simply put, unparalleled. His primary focus over the past few years has been working with our sales team through product training and personal growth workshops. As the product marketing manager, Russ works to understand core business as well as unmet and unrealized market needs. Russ serves as the voice of the customer to understand dealer needs in the effort to discover and deliver product offerings that are valuable, desirable, usable, and, of course, feasible. Russ, he can be reached at russ.daniels@homenetauto.com. Now, during the presentation, if you have any questions, please use the question feature located on the corner of your screen to submit them. At the end of the presentation, we're going to answer those questions of general interest. If we're unable to get to your question live, we're going to try to respond to you by email later today. Also, don't forget a link to download a copy of this webinar recording will also be emailed to you later today for your reference. And please feel free to share it with your friends and colleagues. And guess what? Our good friends at HomeNet, they're giving away a really awesome prize today on the webinar. One of you lucky webinar attendees is going to win a huge HomeNet swag bag. That's right. It's going to be filled with all kinds of HomeNet goodies and souvenirs and tchotchkes like T-shirts and pens and mouse pads. It's a basket full of HomeNet awesomeness, as I like to say. I wish I was eligible to win this prize. I'm not. But you know what? You are. You have to just be on the live broadcast to win it, so stay tuned, and you could be the one walking away with this awesome prize today. Also, at the conclusion of this webinar, you're going to receive a short survey, so fill it out because we're always looking for great feedback from our audience. Today we're going to randomly select a couple of people from all those completed surveys to also win some Google prizes. And by the way, also want to let you know, do you tweet much? Well, you know what? We hope you do. We'd love to see what you have to say about today's presentation, so please tag me in it at Eliana Raggio. You can also hashtag DealerOnWebby or at DealerOn, and if you want Russ to see it too, then please put him in there as well as at HomeNet_auto. So let's get started. Let's learn about boosting the big five of merchandising for bigger profits. Russ Daniels, how are you? It's so glad to have you back on the show. How are you?
I'm great, Eliana. Thanks for having me back.
Okay, good. Hey, by the way, am I gonna see you at Digital Dealer? You're gonna be there, right?
Yes, I will be a Digital Dealer.
Excellent. That's what I like to hear. Okay, because we partied last time we were at a convention together, so hopefully we'll get to do that again, okay?
That's right.
All right.
Yeah.
So I love what we have going on here. Now, you guys at HomeNet, by far, the experts on, what's going on with inventory and how to make your inventory really shine. So I'm really, really excited about this when we talk about the big 5 of merchandising for bigger profits. And I know you have a lot of stuff to get to. So tell me, where do we begin? Where do we start? What are the kinds of things we're going to be learning about? Where do we go?
That's right. That's right. So before we kind of get into the objectives here, I just wanted to quickly say thank you, everybody, for coming in, spending the time with me this afternoon for my second DealerOn webinar. I had a blast last time I was here. Was really looking forward to getting back, and thanks Eliana and the DealerOn crew for having me back in. I'm really looking forward to our session today, which is around a topic that I'm very passionate about, titled Boosting the Big 5 of Merchandising for Bigger Profits. So before I get to how I apply the Big 5 to automotive, really great online merchandising recently played a role in my everyday life. So last week, I actually got an offer accepted and did the close on my first house.
Congratulations.
So, thank you. Thank you. It's obviously a very big thing for me and my wife to get into our first house. And just like any first home buyer, we did a lot of research before we actually hit the market and start and put offers in on houses. And where do you really start? Where do you start when you're looking for a new home, when you're looking to take that next step? You look online. You do your research online. You look at Zillow. You look at Realtor.com. You look at Trulia. And if you're in with an agent, you have Trend MLS there that has all the new listings on. So like I should, we were looking at all of those different sites, looking at different houses. And to start it out, you look for the area you want to live in, and you put some guardrails around budget and all those normal things. But then what's next? What's that next step in the home buying process? You're on those sites, and what do? You look at pictures of that home, and you look at details about that home to see if it meets the specs that you want, and you go from there. But what are you really doing when you're looking at those homes online? You're trying to picture yourself in that home. You're trying to picture your future inside of that home and create that connection before you ever go in and see that house. And that's what I did for the house that I wound up buying. I saw myself in the house with great photographs. I looked at all the specs of the house. It met all of my needs. And right when I went in there and felt it and was in there and experienced it, I knew that this was the house for me. Buying a house is pretty much the biggest purchase that anyone's going to make in their life. But it's worth noting what the second biggest purchase they're going to make in their life is, and that's a vehicle. And a lot of the same things that I went through in my home buying experience, car shoppers today are going through. So how do we create that before the lot connection? Ask yourself the question, are you creating a before the lot connection? We all are. We all are out there in the dealer world. We have our cars out on our website, on different third-party sites, but are we creating a before the lot connection? Are we connecting with car shoppers through online advertising to get them into the store, have them get in that car, test drive it, and purchase it, similar to what I did with the house? So how do you do that? How do you create a before the lot connection? Well, if you were on my webinar before, I like to keep it real simple, and I like to break it down into today's objectives, which are what I call the big 5 of online merchandising. And when you really take these seriously and you really have the best-in-class tools and the best-in-class processes, you're really going to create that before the lot connection with your car shoppers. So here are the 5. We've got photos, videos, descriptions, image overlays, and speed to market. Those are the big 5 for me. So what I'm going to do in today's webinar is show you some notes from the industry on the importance of these pieces of merchandising, these different aspects. But what I'm also going to do is give you some best practices on how to take your merchandising to the next level using each of these different methods. I'm sure everybody here on the phone today does most of these things, if not all of these things. But as I go through this, just remember, are you creating that before the lot connection? Are you allowing your car shoppers, your prospects, to get inside of that vehicle when they're looking at it online to picture themselves in? So let's start with the big one. Let's start with the one that, I'm very passionate about, talking about photography inside of the dealership. Taking great photographs of vehicles. Does it matter? Does taking great photographs matter? Does even having photos matter? Does the number of photographs that you take on a car matter? And most importantly, I can talk about whether they matter or not, but can I prove it? So I have some data behind it to back whether photos matter or not. So this is objective one here, photos. So let's jump right into it. Do photos matter? Well, I think the very first bullet point that you see on the right will tell that story. So when you go out in the industry, you've got stock photos and you've got actual, vehicle photos that was shot by you or someone that came out and serviced their lot. Now, before photos get on, you always want to get a stock photo of that car to just have something there. But what we found through a Google study that was done in 2013, 2014, there is virtually no difference in click-throughs between stock photos and no photos. And aside from that Google study that was done, also a recent Auto Trader study off their live study validated that same thing. That having no real photos is the same as having a stock photo. Am I saying go out onto all of your online processes and take stock photos down? No, I don't want you to do that. It's good to have something to relate to that vehicle before you upload real photos. Just know that time is money, and especially with photos. And the longer that car is sitting out there without a personality, which the photo really gives it personality, you might be losing eyeballs. You might be losing that before the lot connection. I mean, if I was looking at just floor plans and representational images of what my house was going to be, I wouldn't have created that connection with that house. I looked at real photos of my home. When I bought a car just a few years ago, I bought a Nissan, and I did the same thing. Went online, looked at photos of that car, and pictured myself inside. Now, okay, let's say you get photos added. What type of increase does that give you? Well, according to Google and according to the Millward Brown digital study, it gives you a lot. So it can increase click-throughs by 180% versus not taking photos. It's a huge number there. And clicks on search results pages, or SRPs, increase 90% when you have multiple photos. I mean, you're up there on a search results page with other cars. It's your website. It's all the cars that you have. If you're on a third-party site, it's your cars and other dealerships' cars. That's really that first time to create that connection, that first point where you find that car, see it, and then dive in to get more information. So needless to say, it's important to have photographs on your cars. But it's also equally important to have a really solid strategy around how you're taking photos at your dealership. What I mean by that is it can be a time suck if your processes are a little bit scattered. And you'll find that you're bogging a lot of time down or investing a lot of your budget into photo taking and not getting the results you need. So a couple things to keep in mind. First of all, if you have someone coming out and shooting photos of your cars, that's great. There's a lot of great companies out there that are doing that. Just make sure you stay on the same page with them. Make sure that they're able to keep up with your current volume, how many you're selling, how many new ones you're bringing onto the lot, and adjust that strategy if they can't keep up, or if you're finding cars are sitting out online for a long time without photos. I know a lot of these companies. They're here to help you. They're a service-based company. They want to hear your feedback. I'll talk a little bit more about feedback at the end of my presentation, but they want to know how to make your life easier, and they want to make sure your cars are looking nicer. The classic question, which may be on some of the minds here, is how many photos? How many do you take? Is there too little? Is there too many? How much time do I put into this? How serious do I take this? So a couple things. So when Auto Trader tries to go forward with their dealerships, from conversations I've recently had with them, 27 photos is that not the maximum amount of photos, but they find that you get a lot of activity with 27 photos, and as you add more, the activity kind of plateaus a little bit. So 27 is that sweet spot if you could work it into your strategy. Another great strategy is a couple pre-recon photos before you fully clean out that car and make it ready to shoot the 27. If you know that might take 2 days or so, if you're backed up on the lot, then maybe take 7 or 8 photographs, get that online quickly, and then go back and take really great shots of that vehicle once it's gone through reconditioning. Just a few best practices there around photo taking. So let's go on to big 5 number 2, and that's around video. So a similar format here to photographs. So does video matter? Does it really make a big difference? Is that what car shoppers want? Do they want video? And if so, or if not, can I prove it to you? Well, I can prove it to you, and videos do matter. Now, quick story on this. So, I've been in this industry about 6 years now, so still pretty new to the industry, but I've seen it, really change, especially around the merchandising space. And dealerships, especially compared to about 5 years ago, have really developed better, more sophisticated strategies around photo taking, and I really believed in that when I was coming up through training. But for video, I wasn't as convinced. So you see photos, you can pause on the photo, look at it a little bit, and then really picture yourself inside of that vehicle. So when I was thinking, I'm like, do videos matter? I really questioned that. And one thing I did learn from my time in training is everybody learns a little bit differently. There's not one way to generally connect with somebody. Everybody processes information in different ways, and they do it the way they want to do it. And that is what got me more towards videos, where, okay, compared to photos, you want to have that photo process really, really ingrained and really hardened at your dealership. With videos, you also want a solution for videos, so you're not missing out on shoppers that may connect through video. So let me show you a couple examples of this. So there was that same Millward Brown study. They talked about photos. They also brought into the video. Also, an Auto Trader study on new car marketing had a lot of great stuff around video that really changed my mind in terms of the importance of video. So just a couple data points here. Not going to data point you to death here in the webinar, but some really, really interesting ones that jumped out to me. 84% of car shoppers plan to watch a video the next time they shop for a vehicle. That's the majority of car shoppers. Right there in that one single bullet point, it really demonstrates the importance of integrating video into your strategy or some form of video. I'll get into what I mean by forms of video. After watching a vehicle video, 62% of shoppers visited that dealership in person, and a little over half searched the dealer's inventory online, went into their website, maybe off of YouTube, went to their website, went onto a third-party classified site to dig deeper into what that dealer had at the dealership. And then finally, 66% of car shoppers would watch more videos if they were available. So those key points right there really justify, at least looking at video, analyzing your process for how you're doing it, and wrapping a solution that fits your dealership and fits your market. So a few best practices on video. The best kind of video that you're going to have for one of these vehicles, you probably already know what it is. It's a live walk-around video. It's you with a camera or someone at your dealership or an outside company shooting a live walk-around interactive video of a vehicle. I also know that that process can really be a time suck, where if you have even 100 or more vehicles on the lot, which I'm sure a lot of you do, it's a big time suck to do photos and then a live video on the same vehicle. A lot of time there. So this is my strategy. You want to get something. So a lot of, all of the providers out there have slideshow videos where they'll take your photos, they'll put, some calls to action, some CTAs that I'm going to talk about later on in the webinar to draw eyeballs to different valuable pieces of the vehicle when you're merchandising it while the photos slide through. Wrap some music around it, some text around the vehicle. That's good to have something up there. We found that, back to the stock photo versus the real photo example, having a slideshow video definitely has more of an impact on consumer engagement compared to a stock photo. So this, a slideshow video, don't think that as the stock photo of video. It's not. It really helps user engagement. And then for the live video, how I would suggest it is select some models, select some new cars, or select some vehicles that you're really hot to sell this month, and concentrate on different segments of your inventory and shoot live videos for those cars specifically. So then when car shoppers are looking online, they're interacting more and more with the cars that you really want to show at your dealership, or the cars that you really want to have conversations with car shoppers about. That'd be my suggestion around live video. And towards the end of the session here, I have another best practice that I'm going to share with you. So let's get into some information, just kind of level set on the industry today. As I just talked about, a lot of closed statistics around photos and videos. Let's step back and let's just ask the question, where are people shopping online today? Where will people be shopping online in the future? And when you look at the graph here, you really see a swing that's happened here over the last 10+ years. And that's a lot of, two things really jump out to me on this. Obviously the internet dominating the most influential sources leading to a dealership, and then also the referral from a friend or a family. In my last webinar that I went over, I talked about the importance of referrals and the importance of engaging with shoppers after point of purchase, because they can really be your champions to bringing more prospects into your dealership. So to the right there, when you're speaking about new cars specifically, where does the shopping start? The shopping starts on third-party sites, but then quickly goes to dealer websites, like the great websites that DealerOn provides, or OEM websites that you get if you're a franchise dealer. These are places where car shoppers are going to be before they get online and before they get to your lot, and a lot of different a lot of time being spent on those sites as well. As you can see, a little bit less than 3 hours to a little bit more than 3 hours before being influenced and going into that dealership. So along those same lines, let's start to talk about what type of content are these people looking at on the site, and then who demographically is looking at it and kind of how that trend has changed over the last couple of years. So basic question coming out of a J.D. Power study, what's the most frequently accessed content on third-party sites? First two, not going to surprise anybody here in the room. Obviously price. You definitely want to set your guardrails around budget when you're making a car buying decision. Model information as well. And then inventory-specific research is a part of that frequently accessed content. And when I talk about inventory-specific research, I'm talking about that falls into all of the big five right there. I'm talking about photos. I'm talking about videos. I'm talking about calls to action on those vehicles. I'm talking about the descriptions. And I'm talking about where your inventory is. It's a huge piece for car shoppers. Now let's take it over to the right and talk a little bit about the general population and then millennials, which has definitely been a topic of conversation. So in 2011, the general population spent 62% of car shopping online. That was in 2011. That's jumped up to 75%. 3/4 of their time last year, the general population, was spent car shopping online. So when you go down into the millennials, which, as I said, has been a big topic in the industry, I read about it every day. I come into the offices here at HomeNet and read auto remarketing or read driving sales. I read about how we're going to get to the millennials. Who are they? How do we penetrate? In 2011, they were already spending 3/4 of their car shopping time online. And that's jumped up to 82% in 2014. And where things are going with mobile and the evolution of what iOS has been doing, what Android has been doing, in 2015, that number is going to go up. It's not only going to go up for millennials, it's going to go up for the general population. I'm really excited to see where J.D. Power puts that in their 2015 study. But what we're looking at here is a complete swing in the car buying process, where they're spending a lot of their time researching online, which is fine if the merchandising creates the connection with the car shopper before they get there. Ah, yes, the third one of the big five, and I think the most Eliana, in my opinion, I think the most forgotten of the big five, and maybe the most downplayed one of the big five of merchandising.
Okay, but if that's true, then this is the section where people can do the most improvement, right?
Oh, you nailed it. You nailed it, Eliana. I actually have a number I have a number around that I'm going to share with you in just a minute.
All right.
Thanks for the softball right there.
Well, you're welcome.
I swear we didn't rehearse this ahead of time. So let's go to number 3, and it's image overlays. Image overlays, there's a couple of synonyms around image overlays. Some dealerships I talk to call them watermarks. Some call them stamps. I'm just going to generalize it and say image overlays because you have an image and you're overlaying other stuff on top of that photograph. Now, with image overlays, it first of all is a pretty ancient kind of category of merchandising, which is disappointing to me, so that's why I'm here to kind of talk to you about it, because we can get better. But image overlays are all about calls to action. It's all about a call to action. I call it mastering the art of CTAs, mastering the art of calls to action. So Car Story, they just recently released a study around calls to action. And they oftentimes reference having more engaging photographs and having things that engage customers more while they're looking at photographs. But they categorized it. They took different categories and they polled car shoppers and dealers as well, and looked at some of the top drivers for calls to action by category. And I mean, it's mind-blowing to me personally when you go back to the slide I just did, talking about what's the most frequently accessed content on third-party sites, pricing information, inventory-specific research, and then you go to calls to action by category, and you see a very similar breakdown coming from the Car Story study that was done just a few months ago. Calls to action like, check out this price or check out this deal, but right behind that is more information on the car. A call to action for more information than what you're currently looking at. And ask yourself, because I ask myself this, where better to call out more valuable information on a car than while you're looking at the photos? I mean, a lot of the car shoppers, they go onto your vehicle details page on your website, and what they do is they look at the photos. They want to see if it has a moonroof. They want to check out the color, check out the interior, the exterior, the trunk, depending on what their needs are. But let's say you have a vehicle that has very low miles. And right now on your vehicle details page, the only way, there's two ways really a car shopper can even realize quickly, and this may not even be very quick, that there's low miles on the car. There's usually just a data point on the VDP that says the miles. On some search results page, you'll see the miles. And then if you are lucky enough to have a process in place with vehicle descriptions to call out that it's low miles in the different dealers' notes, the seller's notes of that vehicle, those are the places where a car shopper is going to see that it has low miles. Well, I challenge that. I want to change that a little bit. I want the really important, the calls to action, the more information on that car, I want that to display on the photo. I want to tell the consumer that. I want them to look at the odometer, and I want to call it out that it's got low miles, that it's a 2009 and it only has 25,000 miles. Are you nuts? That's a great deal. Don't let the car shopper, don't rely on them to go down deeper into that VDP to see an information like that. Don't rely on that. They're on the photos. Call it out. Here's some reasons why. And you see that there. 27% of CTAs on vehicle information are their primary drivers. That's the primary driver. Additional information. There's additional selling points. And then something else like schedule a test drive is another term, third highest, at 10% as the primary driver. So it's out there. There's a case for you to look at your process for image stamping or image overlays and evaluate, are you really mastering the art of calls to action? Is this a new frontier? I think it is. I so often see image overlays that different dealers around the country are using, but not as often do I see specific calls to action on those overlays. And I think looking at my internal database just recently, demonstrates that. HomeNet processes over 100 million photos a day. Less than 2% have enhanced overlays at any point. Less than 2% of those 100 million photos. I mean, talk about a way to differentiate your dealership and attract attention to car shoppers at the point of discovery so they can come in and they can dig in and learn more about that vehicle. So let's run through kind of the history lesson here. So there's image overlays. This is a standard example. You got a photo of the car here, very nice Mercedes. What do you got? You need the dealership name, right? Well, there it is. We all have that on the first photo. North Valley Autoplex. What's next? Now what do I need? I need a dealership phone number, fax maybe, and website information. All right, nailed it. Simply create that, send it over to your provider that's getting your photos out to different sites, and done. It's taken care of. What is this telling the car shopper that they don't already know? The phone number, yes, that's a good piece of information. The website, they may already be on the website, and if they aren't, then this is very valuable for third-party sites. So I'm not steering you away from this standard example. I want you to expand on this standard example and look something like this. Now, this one is, I went kind of big on this one, Eliana. So a lot of work I spent on this to kind of give you the extreme, what this upgraded image overlay example could look like. But you see it right here. It could be low miles, or it could say new tires, or if it's a new car, you could say call today for special financing options, different things like that. If it's a Carfax One owner, call it out. If it's got a good auto check score, call that out too. And as you can see on the bottom, I still have the phone number and the dealership name to keep that consumer, keep your dealership at the top of mind for that consumer. Best practice around this, there's a lot of tools out there for you to do this, and you don't have to go photo by photo and do this. There's different tools that you can get outside of the automotive industry to do this for your photos, and there's a lot of providers inside of the automotive industry that can do this for your photos. So take a look at it. See what it can fit into your process. I really think it's going to help. A lot of dealerships I talk to that implement this strategy really see positive results, and car shoppers calling out specifically that they looked at the car because of an enhanced call to action on the photo. Now, this one really teeters the fence in my opinion, but I did it as an extreme example. One thing you don't want to do is you don't want to overdo this. You don't want to overdo it to the point where the car is no longer the star of this photograph, where you have crazy colors going all over the place, and you barely even notice the car. This one, I tried to match the color of the car with the text and things like that, but always keep that in mind. Too much,
Well, do you have a picture of one that's too much?
I don't.
Okay, I was just wondering.
I don't want to plant that seed, Eliana. I want them to look at the best of the best.
Okay.
But this one is about as good as I would want it. So if I'm consulting with a dealer and they're showing me some examples and they're showing me this, I would say, great. You're doing a very, very good job with this. Make sure it's not taking up too much of your time, because we do want you to get back to selling cars. So kind of look at how you're doing this and optimize that. But this is a really good example. But if the frame was gone, if that black frame around the photo was not there, and that would still be great. If Carfax One owner just showed there, that would be really strong as well. Kind of a mixture of all those worlds. So number 4. Number 4 of the big 5. We're getting there, gang. Don't worry, we got a poll question coming up soon, so I will stop talking shortly. But I can't stop talking about vehicle descriptions. So as you can see how I've been doing this presentation, we've walked the VEP, if you will. You've gone through the photos. I'm a car shopper. I got photos with strong calls to action. I got a video on this vehicle. I'm really interested. I'm really connected with this car. What's the next thing that I do? I want to now look at the specs of that car. Just like when I was buying a home, I connected through the photos and the video, and now I want to look down to make sure it's got central air conditioning, and it's got a good heating system, especially after the winter we've had here in Philadelphia. I need a good heating system in my house. It's freezing up here. And where does that live? That lives in the specs That lives in the description of the vehicle. So vehicle descriptions, another thing that I'm encouraged about in terms of online merchandising in the automotive industry, is that dealers have really started to take this seriously. They want really good vehicle descriptions on their cars, and they know if they have that they're going to capture car shoppers on their vehicle details pages, and then in turn get leads or just establish a connection with that dealership and that car shopper. So much so that now descriptions, writing them, is an art. It's an art in terms of writing them, and it's an art in terms of the process in which you write them. So I'm going to talk about them, and I break descriptions down into the 3 B's. Be specific, build a connection, and balance the message. So I'm going to go into all 3 of those B's right now. First is be specific. Be as specific about that VIN that car shopper is looking at on your website as possible. If it's miles per gallon if it's a hybrid car, wheelbase if it's a truck, or bed if it's a truck, something like that. They don't want to see tan descriptions of the same Mustang or the same Camaro as they go from Camaro to Camaro. They want to know what makes this Camaro different. They want to know what about this car that they're going to connect to in order to now go to your car, test drive it. Be descriptive. Can't stress that out more. Look at these examples here. Look at the picture to the left, and look at the picture to the right. What do your comments say about your vehicle? I've been in the automotive industry for 6 years, as I said. Still relatively new, but enough to be dangerous. I don't really know what half of that stuff on the left means.
I feel like I have to decipher it. What the heck is OHV?
Exactly. So, and I love cars. I love this industry. Not a lot of car shoppers are in this industry. So what do they think when they see this? They don't know. They don't know what that means. But when you go over here to the right example, now it looks like this is a conversation. This is an educational piece of text about this vehicle that now I can dig in and really start to picture myself inside of this vehicle while also meeting the specifications that I have when making a car buying decision. So a couple, highlight the vehicle. What makes it different? Highlight reliability, if there's a warranty, or a Volvo and how reliable those are, and how good those are for the children, and different things like that. And then, of course, be descriptive. Be as descriptive as possible about the car that you're looking at. You got to build a connection. I mean, that's really been the red thread of this whole entire talk, is that before the lock connection. Have a customer focus. So all-wheel drive gets you everywhere in any weather. Again, I'm in Philadelphia. I do need all-wheel drive because we need to be prepared for any weather.
We need heated seats, too. Heated seats, very important.
That's right. Why buy from us? What makes your dealership different from the other dealerships? And why should they come into your lot and create that partnership with you to purchase a vehicle? Build a connection, master the CTAs, calls to action, like us on Facebook, special pricing on new 2015. Call us today for more information. Just some things that you want to think about when you're building vehicle descriptions. And know that is not my cell phone number. And finally, you've got to balance the message. This is the next phase. This is the evolution of descriptions, because I've seen dealers really master getting very descriptive comments around their cars. But aside from being specific, you also want to attribute different types of awards and accolades and editorials from some of the industry experts to really build value in that car and build value in their dealership. Quite frankly, notable brands and OEMs benefit from their advertising budget. I mean, Kelley Blue Book, Edmunds, they announce their awards every single year. IIH Top Safety Pick. You see the Lexus in the top. Almost any shopper or anybody in general is going to know that that's Lexus December to Remember. If anybody's watched TV in November and December has seen the Lexus December to Remember sales event. Take advantage of that. Highlight awards and accolades. 2014 Motor Trend Car of the Year. 2013 IIHS Top Safety Pick. Don't worry about the kids, things like that. Different things you can play off of awards and accolades in order to add value to the car and really add that layer of credibility to the vehicle. Also editorials. According to Edmunds, this vehicle, and then throw a little note from Edmunds in there. Let them know that this car has been approved by the experts. Very important. Can't stress enough about vehicle descriptions and how important they are. They appear on the search results page on a lot of third-party classified sites. It's some text that you can grab a consumer along with the photos, and then when they go inside of a vehicle details page, they can go into the description and really see what this vehicle is all about. A lot of providers out there have really sophisticated tools about doing all three of these, of the three Bs here. So as you look at your processes internally in terms of the big five of merchandising following up this webinar, make sure you're doing the three Bs here. You're being specific, you're building a connection, and you're balancing the message. Well, speaking of balance, I'm going to tip the scale over to you, Eliana. I think we've got a poll question.
Yes, we do.
We want to go through.
Yes, we do. All right, audience, this is your first of 2 poll questions today, and it's on your screen now. We want to know, what is your primary method for writing vehicle descriptions at your dealership today? Please select one of the following answers. We manually write our own vehicle descriptions. We use a software to generate our vehicle descriptions. We hired a third party to write vehicle descriptions for us. We're doing a mixture of 1 and 2. We manually write them sometimes and we use a software the other times. Or we're not writing vehicle descriptions on our cars. We want to know what's happening at your dealership. Where are you getting your vehicle descriptions from? Are you writing them yourselves? Are you using a software? Did you hire somebody else to do it for you? Are you doing a mixture of 1 and 2, which is writing it yourself and using a software together? Or you're not writing vehicle descriptions on your cars. Maybe you just pull the information from the OEM and post that. Whatever the answer is, we want to know. Once we get a majority of those votes in, we're going to close the poll and share the results. Also want to remind you that if you haven't written in your question yet for Russ Daniels, today's DealerOn webinar presenter, Russ Daniels from HomeNet, hey, we're going to get to that part of the broadcast that I like to call Stump the Presenter. So send in your questions, and let's see what answers Russ can come up with. All right? So thank you so much for voting on our first of 2 poll questions today. Russ, if you're ready, I'll close this poll and share the results.
I'm ready, Eliana. Thanks, everyone, for participating.
Here we go. We're going to close this and share. Okay, let's go in order. 19% of today's audience said that they manually write their vehicle descriptions. 16% of today's audience said they use a software. 6% of today's audience said that they've hired a third party to write those vehicle descriptions for them. Now, here's the majority. 58% of today's audience said they're doing something between 1 and 2. So they use a software and then they kind of change it up and write some other stuff manually. And no one picked the last one. Everyone has vehicle descriptions because I think we've now pounded it into their heads enough that they know it's pretty darn important. So, Russ, does that help you out?
It does. It does. And the majority there really speaks to the be specific in the 3 Bs.
I mean, is that the right way to go? Is that what you would recommend?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. If you can work that into your process, that's optimal, because what the smart dealers on this webinar are doing is they are looking at descriptions and getting something out there, and then they're looking at it, and they're tailoring it to the vehicle specifically, looking over it with their expertise. And that is being specific right there, and it really doesn't get any better than that, since you're getting them up quickly, using a third party or using a tool. You have something there, and then you can go in and you can tailor it specifically. You can't get any better than that. Good job, everybody.
Great job. And all of a sudden, I ask and I receive. I got a ton of awesome questions from the audience, so thank you so much. Keep them coming. Let's see what kind of information we can get out of Russ for you today. All right, it's back to you, Russ. Thank you.
Okay. So just to review, I mean, we've gone through 4 out of the big 5. We've gone over the importance of photos. I think we're all in agreement there that real photos on this car is really that starting point, that connection point between the car shopper online and your dealership. Video also is going to grab, as the numbers show, a majority of car shoppers when looking online. The new part of it all is image overlay, kind of this next frontier of calls to action at the point of discovery when you're looking at photographs. And then finally we went to one of my favorites, it's not my favorite, vehicle descriptions, and how to be specific, balance the message, and build a connection with car shoppers through the editorials you're writing about your cars. I have one more left for us. I have the fifth, and definitely not the least important, big five of merchandising. And stay tuned, everybody. It says speed to market, but I'm going to speed through this, and we're going to have another poll question. So you're not going to hear me blab for very much longer before I want to hear from you. So speed to market. Now, I mean, when I think about speed to market, I think of a couple things. I think of a dealer being able to get their cars out online quickly, and also getting them out on multiple different devices, multiple ways for consumers to look at the cars online, whether that's on the PC or through a strategy of mobile websites. I look at speed to market that way. If you happen to be on my first webinar, I use the analogy, with the holidays coming up, you want to go to a family party or meet up with friends, and you're supposed to cook the main piece for the dinner, and you're always late. Everybody says you're always late to the party. Can you get to a party on time for once in your life? Get the family in the car, you start driving to the party, and you're making great time. You're going with speed, and you get there, and you forgot what you were supposed to bring to the party. So now the main piece of food is not there. So you making good time doesn't really matter if you don't have the goods. So it's about getting your online inventory up quickly. It's about getting it offline efficiently as well, so you have an accurate representation of your cars online. But don't discount those first four of merchandising and just think, well, getting it up fast is the key. It's got to get up fast, correct, yes. Every day that car is not online, that's a selling day right there, and that's a cost incurred. But you've got to have a comment on that car. You've got to get photos on that car. You've got to generate a video or some type of digital media, and you've got to see if you can stamp the images with your dealership name or with additional calls to action. When you can get those processes hardened, then you can work with the industry to get that speed to market that you need. So, we want to keep it easy. I want to keep it simple for you, and that's number two. But first I want you to keep it current, and that's around mobile. So when you're looking at the millennials and you're looking at the general population, again, looking at the Auto Remarketing Auto Trader study, along with Social Motor Trends by Digital Airstrike and J.D. Power, 50% of millennials use a smartphone during the car buying process. That was last year. That's going to keep going up. 60% of the general population use mobile devices when researching a vehicle. That's going to go up. So having your inventory just on the PC is good, but it's pretty much only half the battle now. The other half is getting your inventory on mobile websites for your dealers, mobile websites on third parties, making sure your inventory is there, because that's really the beginning. I mean, if somebody just thinks in their head when they're on the train or when they're on a long car ride on a trip with friends, maybe they'll go onto a mobile site and start looking at vehicles. Say, hey, maybe I'm 6 months out, maybe I'm a year out, but let me see, what different cars are going for nowadays. And they're going to do that on their mobile device. Very important to have an advertising presence on mobile. It's also extremely, important to have a mobile presence inside of your merchandising. What do I mean by that? Mobile devices, what better way with Wi-Fi connection and with 3 and 4G to do data collection? When you get a car off of a trade, or you're doing a little work off of the auction, you go to an auction on a Friday and you purchase some cars, and they're making their way back to the dealership. Why not use a mobile device to quickly add that car and shoot a couple pictures? If you don't want to get it online, I'm sure there's some prospects out of the internet department where you can email some leads or email to some prospects, some cars that just came through. So work that in. Work photos and videos into mobile devices. You all have one. It's all either in your pocket or you're on it right now because I'm boring you. But you have mobile devices at your disposal. You work those into your processes at the dealership. Keep it easy. Keep it easy. You don't got to reinvent the wheel. There's really smart people and really big companies that spend a lot of money around best practices on how to generate really good photos, how to generate a really good pan and scan video. So as you walk around these best practices, starting at the top left and going down to the bottom right, obviously there, you can see the different ways of shooting photos and capturing the good pieces. As you can see, what I said earlier, 27 photos is really that sweet spot. You're in an awesome place that you can generate those. Those are only 15 right there. So where do the additional 12 come from? Those are different highlights on the vehicle that may not apply to this Mustang right here, a moonroof, let's say, or better technology on the dashboard. You could take 2 or 3 really good pictures of that and ingrain that to get up close to that 27 photo count. And then you got the pan and scan video. What direction do you want to go in to really create that reality, that virtual reality for the car shopper of walking around that car just like they would be on the lot? So keep it easy. And you have my information. If you want more information on best practices and stuff like that, I talk to dealers every single day. Shoot me a note. I'd be happy to talk to you about this stuff. I nerd out about this stuff. So it's never too much in terms of the conversation around really effective merchandising following best practices. Because the last thing I want to do is come on here and dump a bunch of new things on your dealership to do because you have enough to do already. We can get these things done easier, gang. We just got to work together. And when I mean working together, I mean keeping us informed. And that's a part of speed to market. That's a part of the evolution and innovation of online marketing and e-commerce in the automotive industry. When you look at the results from the survey that we did internally, looking at our dealer base here at HomeNet Automotive, you look at, when we ask the question, what are your biggest pain points in the inventory management merchandising process? And what I highlighted there was mobile, better descriptions, and better time to market. Now, I don't have the best memory in the world, but aren't those the 3 things I pretty much just talked about? That's what we do with the automotive industry. That's what all of these vendors, all of these companies that work for you, that's what they want to hear. They want to hear your biggest pain point, and then they want to wrap solutions and new innovative ideas that help solve the problem. But they're not going to know as well as you know because they're not on the lot every day. They're not doing the day-to-day tasks. We as a product company and as website companies, different ones I work with, we talk all day and all night about how important it is for us to understand the processes in a dealership. And they're changing all the time. So your feedback today drives the solutions for the industry tomorrow. So never hesitate to reach out to your providers to give them feedback on how to make things better for you. They'd love to hear it. Speaking of things we'd love to hear, Eliana, we're going to go back to another poll question for you.
Russ, you have the best segues. Thanks. All right, audience. I love your segues. Audience, here we go. Your second of 2 poll questions, your last poll question of the day. It's on the screen now. We'd love your involvement in our poll questions. It really helps us to understand what's going on in the industry and gives us some extra information that we would never have learned otherwise. So, the question's on the screen now. What is your primary method for delivering inventory to online advertising destinations? So are we talking specifically, Russ, about what? Are we talking about social media or we're just talking about third party?
We're talking about third parties, websites, things like that.
Even like Craigslist and stuff like that?
Absolutely.
All right, all right. So please select one of the following answers. Do you use one inventory management tool? Do you use multiple inventory management tools? Did you hire an outside company to handle that for you? Because, you know, that sounds like a lot of work. Do you have no inventory management tool at all and you do it all manually? Or is it none of the above? We'd love to know what's going on in your dealership. So when it comes to sending your inventory to other online advertising destinations, do you use one inventory management tool, use a number of inventory management tools, you hire somebody else to do it, you don't use any inventory management tools at all, or it's none of the ones that we have listed there? Once we get a majority of those in, we're closing down results. You know how it goes. Okay. And by the way, Russ, you're in for a really robust Q&A session. The questions we have from the audience are really, really good. We got some really wonderful questions for you. So,
looking forward to that.
I know, I am too. Audience, thank you so much for getting involved with our poll question. We're going to close this in just another couple of seconds. And I got to say, I think you're going to be surprised by this answers that we have here, Russ.
Okay.
I mean, because it wasn't what I was expecting. I got to be honest with you. All right, let's see what's going on here. Let's close this poll. Audience, thank you so much for your votes. We're going to close this poll now that we have almost everyone voting and share the results. Here's where it surprised me. 54% said that they use just one inventory management tool. And that's where I was surprised, because I didn't know that there was one tool that could do everything that a dealership would need. So I'm pleasantly surprised to hear that. 39% of today's audience said that they use multiple inventory management tools. You know, I thought that was going to be the first prize, first place. And then the remaining 7% of today's audience said that they hired an outside company to handle that service for them. No one picked the last two answers. But, of course, you're the inventory expert. Is that what you were expecting to see? I guess it was.
Kind of.
Okay.
I was thinking the multiple would be a little bit stronger.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Because when I talk to dealers, it's really a core versus context discussion where there's a lot of providers out there that do a lot of really, really good things, and a lot of times they're doing a lot of multi-platform management to get the best out of all of them. But where the poll is telling me where we're going to is a more integrated, a specialized and connected approach to doing everything, and just out of one system or just a few, and having them all talk to each other to really streamline the processes. So doing it out of one is good feedback. I mean, that's the kind of stuff we like to hear in like the automotive industry when it comes to online merchandising. So I appreciate the information, gang. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, back to you, Russ.
All right, so almost finished here. I'm really excited about this Q&A, and I'm going to close this down just like I closed the other one down. Remember, the journey to successful online listings is not a sprint, it's a hike. When you look at my friend here, looking over the mountains, he's not going to make it all the way without some water, without some food, without some supplies. And think about that when you're advertising vehicles online, that getting through the journey is important, and you want to get through it quickly, but you also want to make sure you have all the supplies to create the connection between you and the car shopper online, so that when they get there, you have that before the lot connection. And that's my webinar, Eliana. I'm going to flip it over here and just get to some takeaways before we go to the Q&A session.
Okay.
So I want everybody to take a look at the process for merchandising new and used cars to see if there are items you can implement today to increase online listing traffic. So basically, look at the big five. Write them down: photos, videos, overlays, descriptions, and speed to market. Think about how you're doing them and maybe some things to make it better. And tell that to your provider. Just give them some feedback. They want to hear it. Analyze the mobile strategy at your dealership. Make sure you are using current technology from your providers to leverage mobile for advertising and merchandising. So like I said before, make sure your cars are up on mobile sites, but make sure you're also leveraging mobile devices to do different tasks at the dealership, since they're always in your hand anyway. And then take a look at how you're describing vehicles. Are you balancing the message? Are you being specific? And most importantly, are you building the connection? Those are the three takeaways I'd like for everyone to take a look at. Take some time, look at it today, and shoot me an email if you want some feedback. I'd be happy to talk to you. So it's time for some Q&A. Expert, I mean, that's debatable. I guess we'll find out after these questions.
Josh, we told them you were an expert, Russ.
The PowerPoint told them too.
Yes, yes it did. All right, audience, we already got some great questions in. Did you get yours in? If not, now's a great time to send it in. We're going to get to that Q&A in just a moment. But before we do, you know how we do it over here on the DealerOn webinar. It's that time. If you missed it at the beginning of the webinar, well, I announced that our good friends at HomeNet giving away a super cool prize today on the webinar. One of you lucky webinar attendees is going to win a huge HomeNet swag bag. It's going to be filled with all kinds of HomeNet awesomeness, goodies, souvenirs, tchotchkes, like t-shirts and pens and mouse pads, and oh my, it's a basket full of HomeNet incredibleness. All you have to do is answer a simple question about the presentation. So now's the time. Get ready. Get to your keyboards. We're going to ask a question about the presentation that you just saw. First one to write in that correct response is going to be walking away with this super cool prize today. And vendors, you know we love you, but we're going to ask you to please sit this one out. This prize is intended only for dealership personnel. But we do love you. You know we do, okay? So here we go. Good luck, everyone. This is not the easiest question. I hope you guys were paying attention. Here we go. Name 2 of the 3 B's when writing an effective vehicle description. Named, ooh, geez, Louise. Can you say overachiever? The first person to write in actually wrote all 3 of them. Congratulations, Tamara Swats. That's not the first time I've seen your name come across my screen, but congratulations, Tamara Swats. You are today's winner. She wrote be specific, build connections, and be balanced, or balance the message. Congratulations, Tamara Swats. Tamara. Man, she already wrote in. Look at you, Tamara. You are on the ball today. Yay, she says, thanks from Legacy Toyota in Tallahassee. Congratulations, Tamara. Hey, Russ, do you need her mailing address?
I will. I will need her mailing address.
Tamara, if you could write on in and give us your mailing address, we'd certainly appreciate that. And, of course, audience, thank you so much for playing along, everyone. And, of course, big congratulations to today's winner, Tamara Swats. And, of course, we got to thank our good friends over at HomeNet for their awesome generosity. All right, audience, we're going to get started with your questions. So, like I said, if you haven't written in your questions yet, now would be a phenomenal time to do so. All right, first question, Russ, let's go to that next slide if you wouldn't mind so everyone can see there you go. And there's all of his contact information too, audience. So if you have a question you would like to not have read live on the broadcast, hey, you can contact him directly and see if he can help you personally, all right? All right, first question comes to you, Russ, from our good friend Jeff. Jeff says, question about the millennial market. We were just discussing this topic with targeting this demographic, and it seems as if popular opinion with them is that they don't want to buy things, rather just have them by any means. So with vehicles, that seems to mean leasing. Does HomeNet have any leasing information that's able to push out to websites to show standard or specific leasing pricing, as well as the MSRP and internet pricing? That's interesting. And don't they have, Russ, don't they also have like leasing calculators that you can like put on a website too? But that's a whole nother topic, I guess. But can HomeNet help a dealership who believes that leasing is what most of their clientele is doing?
Absolutely. And what was the name of the gentleman who submitted that question?
Jeff.
Jeff, okay. Jeff, great question. Couple points here. So you can't be more correct in your kind of long-term strategy and thinking around millennials when it comes to car buying. The numbers are telling us that. Lease is up. Leasing is up. And
it is up.
That, and we see that. And especially with the younger demographic. Because of that, it's the immediate gratification. I guess you do that, but you kind of loop that into Gen Y as well. With the millennials coming up, it's about that, and it's also about a lack of long-term commitment, to be honest. So it's really around that leasing. I don't want to be tied down for multiple years. I bought my car. There's a lot of pride behind owning your car, and there's a lot of good things around owning a car. I push everybody to buy a car. But if you're going to lease, a lot of the reason is you don't want to be tied down with one car for a long time. You want to be in a car for a while, and then you want to swap it out for another one. So your thinking's right, and I think as we go into 5 years down the line and longer than that, leasing is going to continue to increase, but also this concept of ride sharing as well is starting to really rear its ugly head, where you have a car, you have a service where you're in a car and you're driving it for a couple of weeks, and then you can just swap it out for a different one. You're in a sedan and you're moving, like I'm moving to my new house, swap out my SUV for a big van. Drive the van for a couple of weeks, swap it out again. That's kind of that next level of not being tied down by a vehicle. Now that's the first part of your question, Jeff. I don't want to miss the other parts. When you're talking about different ways to manipulate pricing inside of an inventory tool in order to reflect lease pricing, for HomeNet, yes, we can absolutely help you with multiple pricing fields to put stuff in. What I really try to do to respect the vendors, especially respect DealerOn, is not to talk too much about HomeNet products. Can we help you with that? Absolutely. Others may as well, and if you want to dig deeper into this, I'm sure we would be able to do that offline. Does that answer everything you had there, Jeff?
I'm pretty sure it does. But Jeff, hey, if you have a follow-up question, Jeff says we personally use HomeNet, so it would be great to be able to do that. Jeff, all the contact information is right there on the screen, and I know Russ and the good people over at HomeNet would be very happy to help you. All right, let's get to some more of these wonderful questions that we have for you, Russ. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay, your next question comes to you from Andy, and he says, do you have any research on the optimal number of CTAs on a VDP?
Yeah, so that's a good question, Andy. So the easy one is as many as possible, but that's not the right answer. Get as many calls to action. That sounds right, but really there's a level of overwhelming. So in terms of how many, I mean, when you look, let's go back a couple slides here, not to jump off. Let me just get my data back up here. When we looked at this right here, so when you get down, you got the check out this price call to action. That's one. You've got more information on the vehicle. That can span out over features of the vehicle, financing about that vehicle, and maybe something else. So let's say there could be 3 calls to action on a VDP around more information. So with the top 2, we're at about 4. Contact the dealer today for more information. That's another call to action. That's important. That's 5. And then you've got schedule a test drive. And you can do that on the photos and in the comments. So let's say 7. So then it really dips from those top 4 right there. So I would say, with just my, I guess not data behind it, and just giving you my opinion on it based off of data, I would say 7. Let's just just like a good product guy is going to always do, give you a range. Let's go 6 to 9.
Okay.
And then that's not even taking into account, Jeff, like the really great calls to action that website providers give on to your cars anyway. Different buttons and different things there. So in terms of categories, I would concentrate on those top 4 right there, and then cater maybe I'm going to go a little bit bigger, 6 to 10 calls to action on the VDP to get that optimal experience.
And Andy, thank you so much for the great question. Russ, your next question is not too dissimilar from Andy's. This one comes from David. He said, so if the top, can you hear me?
I can. I just said hi to David. Sorry.
Oh, okay. His question is, so if the top CTA, call to action, is check price, does that mean that we shouldn't price vehicles online?
No. No, it doesn't mean that. I could see, David, where you would get confused there. I should have stayed on the slide. I'm not going to backtrack 40 again. But when we meant check price, that is like a term, or like they did it as a category, but it's a call to action about the price. Look at this price compared to the miles. Look at this price on the 2009 Mustang and things like that. It is making them do an activity based off of the price. So you absolutely should have a price on your cars. I could see where you would confuse that, but yes, definitely have pricing on your cars. That is, and when you look at all the studies that are on my PowerPoint deck here, the most relevant piece of information someone's looking at, let's face it, is a price.
Okay.
So I wish it was photos, but it's not. And that's reasonable. It should be priced because you have a budget and you have a realm of where you'd like to spend as a car shopper. So.
And David wrote in, he's like, so it's more of a check out this price then. Is that right?
Yeah. So I'm gonna go to my pals over at Car Story and tell them they need to get their wording right.
Okay.
I'm using their stuff in presentation.
All right. Now, he said thank you, and also follow-up question from David as well. He says, enhanced overlays sound great. Is there somebody that you recommend, a company that you can recommend that can help with that?
Oh yeah. So, obviously the folks here at HomeNet can help you with that. Again, I don't want to come in and be real pitchy about our products. We do have solutions that can really help streamline those CTAs and those enhanced overlays. Be happy to talk to you more about that, David. I've seen our friends over at DealerTrack have solutions within the eCarless platform that allow that to happen as well, that I've been able to see, and it does a really great job over there too. So those are the two that I can think of.
Okay, great. David, thank you so much for the question. Okay, let's go to an audience. I know we're running over time. We're going to try and get through these last handful of questions as quickly as we can, and we will be getting to your question. So please stick it out with us, okay? Your next question comes from Richard. He says, I am a IOL ultimate user. I have done the training for your tools, but could really use your help. Can I get with you to do a deeper dive on the tools that you provide? Now, before Russ answers, Richard, I'm going to say, yeah, he's probably going to say yes. So, Russ, what do you think?
So, Richard, first of all, thank you for the purchase of IOL Ultimate. It's my favorite product that we offer, very near and dear to my heart, so I appreciate that business. And, yes, of course, I will go into a deeper dive with you on our products and answer any questions that you have. I appreciate your partnership. I appreciate your time here today. So I'm going to relay that back to you.
Thank you so much, Richard. Of course, all of his contact information is on the screen now. So please don't hesitate to contact Russ. He is a sweetie, and he will definitely be able to help you out. Okay, Russ, your next question comes to you from, Richard says, thanks, I'll be in contact. Good job, Richard. Okay, your next question, Russ, comes from Carolina. Oh, I love that name. Carolina says, where do you get the art or the icons of the brand accolades that you've added to the VDP?
Me personally, I get them from the companies directly. So, I make sure I go through all the right channels in order to be authorized to use that. Here at HomeNet, we're not the only ones that do that process. So if you're with a current provider, I'm sure they can pull those or request those and get them. They're obviously also available just searching on Google. I think that's how I found those graphics for the presentation, was just did a quick Google search. So they are there. Personally, I like to follow the rules. I'm a good guy, and I like to go to the providers directly and have them send me the graphics.
I got you. Okay, Carolina, thank you so much.
That's an awesome name, Carolina. Best name of the day, I have to say.
Hey, Eliana's come on, how many times do you know Eliana? But yes, I agree, Carolina's a beautiful name. Richard said he gets them from the OEM ad planner from Toyota. Oh, very nice. And Carolina wrote in, thanks. And now I get some votes for Eliana. All right, so whatever. Thank you. All right, Carolina, if you have a follow-up question, we'd love to hear some more from you. I got this great question. It came from two different people, and it's kind of the same thing. So I'm going to read both of them to you, Russ, all right? The first one comes in from David, and he says, with the way that vehicles are shown on SRPs, most of the time they only allow a certain number of characters for your description to show. Again, on the SRP, the whole thing shows once you get to the VDP. So isn't it better to have actual info about the vehicle first and then go into the more fluff stuff deeper into the comment that is opposite of the description that he showed as a great description? Now, Linda has the same concern. Linda says, for the vehicle descriptions, isn't there a word count range that you can recommend? So, Russ, we got Linda and David. They're curious about the length of the description that you think should be optimal, or how should you put all those weird hieroglyphics with the PWRDR. So it stands for power doors, right? So do you put all that stuff on there first and then go into the fluff? And if you do, how much fluff can you put before it's too much?
Right, and those are, I mean, what a great way to think, what great questions here. So answer your question, David, and you caught me, man. You caught me on that one. Yes, the first few characters of that description that I said was a good one, not good enough. Not good enough. It needs to be specific to the car, and it needs to be within that first 120 characters. So that's almost to Linda's point, where you really want to be specific about that vehicle and have a nice CTA in those first 120 words. Whether that's, check out the price or check out the mileage on this 2008 Mustang, or check out the price on this BMW 3 Series equipped with the following packages, and let that run off of the rest of the SRP, or from the SRP into the BDP. Mm-hmm. And I've been seeing a lot of good quality descriptions around that coming from dealers that use providers and just really intelligent dealers that are doing it themselves, really highlighting that first section of the description, because they know that it's going to show on a search results page, and that's really the first thing that grabs that consumer. So you want to, it's that first one, to answer your question, Linda, 100, 120, 150 characters there of the SRP typically, depending on your advertising package. And then back over to David, yes, that example I gave, if anybody ever wants to have me back doing a presentation like this, you're making me better, I need to have that. That needs to be more specific in my example. Good catch.
I love it. I love it. Okay, but just to your point, Russ, when I read the two different descriptions, I instantly veered towards the one that when it was talking about hearkening back to the days of the traditional muscle cars, and I mean that's what I want to hear, because that's what made me love the car. And the little hieroglyphics doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't bring me into that sale in any way. It doesn't give me anything that I would want to go a step further and keep reading that description. So I like the description that you gave. So
better than nothing, but David told me, man, it's got to be better, and I agree with him.
Okay, all right. But as long as it's not bad. All right, David, thank you so much, and same to you, Linda. You're awesome. Okay, let's go to this question from Jeff. Jeff already wrote in one question, so he says, second question. When it comes to image overlays, what's the best way to go about getting those incorporated across all websites? I personally do graphics as well as manage our internet presence, and this is something I could do myself, but I'm just not sure of how to implement it. Thanks. And that's from Jeff.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. So pretty straightforward. So if you were one of the folks in the second poll question that use one inventory provider to do, to get your online listings out there, you don't have to do the enhanced overlays inside of that single provider or whatever provider is getting your listings out. You can do it outside. If you do graphics, that's great, and you should work on that. But make sure that when you do that, when those photos are uploaded, that they're uploaded to that provider that's going to eventually get your photos out online. Optimally, you do it inside of that platform, so you know as it goes up in the data supply chain that you know the calls to action are there. You can modify them within the tool when you're sending them out. You can do them on the side to make sure it gets in the tool, but if you do it in the tool, that allows you to do a little bit more customization. Easier.
Got you, got you. Jeff, thank you so much for that question. We're going to get to these last three questions, so let's get to them now. Russ, we're really over time. Follow-up question from Linda again about vehicle descriptions as far as content on descriptions. Would you list features that customers look for, such as sunroof, leather, heated seats, or list suspension system details or similar things most shoppers don't typically understand, or a mix of both? So since you told her you got 120 characters optimally that you really want to shine, do we use that 120 characters for those things like heated seats or, what kind of suspension it has? Or do you just go right into, what's your best advice for Linda and others like her?
It's the former, Linda. It's the features that are going to apply to the everyday car shopper. The moonroof, the dashboard with the digital display, Even getting into miles per gallon, rear-wheel drive, all-wheel drive, the basics, the ones that really that are one of the top things on the list of specs for that car shopper. Do those. Don't confuse them with car people, car lingo like we love to talk about. I mean, I'll talk to you about suspension and wheelbase codes all day long if you want to.
And that makes no difference to me. I want to know the heated seats, it's four-wheel drive, normal stuff. Rear view camera.
Keep it easy. Keep it easy.
Right. Okay, Linda, I love your questions. Thank you so much. All right, we just got a couple more questions in. Well, Jeff had asked, I'm just getting familiar with HomeNet, which we use. Do they offer overlay options I could learn to use? And Jeff, yes, they do. And Russ can work with you along with the other good people over at HomeNet. Jeff, I would recommend you take down his contact information and get with him after the show. Oh, great. Jeff says, excellent. Thank you. All right, here we go. Marty wrote in, we use HomeNet to host our inventory. And we have two stores and two different websites. One is a pre-owned and the other one is a Cadillac. His question is, how can we separate the overlays to give the correct information because they have two different websites, for instance. They have two different sets of phone numbers. Is there a way to do that in the back end of the IOL? Russ, real fast, yes or no?
Real quick, yes, but we're going to make it easy going forward. Easier in the next few months. So hold tight, Marty.
Marty, you hear that? Contact Russ or your direct contact over at HomeNet and get the skinny on that. All right, Marty? But yes, they can help you out with that. So thank you so much for that great question. Oh, he says, will do. Thank you. All right, Marty, glad we could help. Let's see. Richard says, do you have any data regarding the best third-party sites to send my inventory to? Ooh, Russ, he's putting you on the spot. What third-party sites do you like?
So I got to answer that question at the car shopper.
Okay.
That way.
Okay, that sounds fair.
I like to go on Autotrader.com. I like to go on Kelley Blue Book. I like to go on Edmunds and Cars.com, and that is in no order. Those are the four I like to look at. I like to look at them for four different reasons. Autotrader for their details, Kelley Blue Book for values and things like that. Edmunds because they do a really good job of reviewing cars, and then Cars.com also for their different way of describing vehicles. So those are the four, and then I love visiting the dealer's website because it really shows the personality of that dealership. I'll usually do that at the very end.
Interesting, and I loved your answer, Russ. Thank you so much. Richard, I hope that helps you out. All right, last question, Russ, before we close down this show. Oh, and Richard, by the way, says thanks. Last question comes from Zach. He says, Eliana, I hate to admit it, but I missed the first part of the webinar. Zach, we start at 12 noon Eastern, Zach. Don't worry, Zach. He says, is there a way that I can re-watch it from the beginning? You know what, Zach? Yes, you can. Don't worry about it. I'm going to be sending you a link to the webinar recording. It's going to be sent to you later today. Also, we're going to post this webinar within 24 hours on DealerOn.com/webinar. And you can go to that page and then click on the link on the right-hand side for on-demand webinars. It'll be at the very, very top of the list, all right? But don't worry, Zach. Yes, you and everyone else are going to be getting a link to that recording in just a few more hours. And Russ, you still there?
I'm still here, Eliana.
Okay, just making sure. I want to say thank you to you. That was another wonderful, wonderful webinar from you and the great people at HomeNet. You always come up with really, really fascinating information. I love, love, love the stuff where you show the research and how you can translate that research into doing better things and better practices for your website and your inventory. So thank you so much. Great, great topic and wonderful execution.
Thank you, Eliana. Thanks, everybody, for the time again, and I look forward to talking to everybody. And if you have any questions, let me know.
Yes, please do me a favor. If you have a question for your HomeNet friends, get in touch with your account rep over at HomeNet or call Russ directly or email him directly, and we'll see if they can help you out. All right, it's important stuff here. Also, want to let you know, audience, at the conclusion of this webinar, in just another minute, you're going to receive a short survey. We would love to know what you thought of Russ and his presentation. So fill it out. We're always looking for your feedback, and we want to know what you thought of today's presentation. Today we're going to randomly select a couple of people, 2, from all the completed surveys to also win some Google prizes. Also want to let you know, DealerOn's going to be exhibiting and presenting at the upcoming Digital Dealer Convention in Tampa, Florida later this month. If you're going to be there, well, I'm going to be there. I want to see you. So stop by booth 300 and say hi. And we have a great booth. And while you're at Digital Dealer, please check out the speaking sessions from these amazing DealerOn executives as well. And when you stop by to say hi to me at booth 300, because I know you will, then you're also going to want to ask me for a pass to our awesome party. That's right, we're throwing a big, huge shindig in Tampa on Wednesday night, April 22nd at 8 p.m. at Jackson's Bistro. So if you think you have what it takes to party with the likes of me and the rest of the DealerOn folks, then you got to stop by and pick up your ticket, and we'll see you there. It's going to be the party to go to at the Digital Dealer Convention. Truth. All right, invitations will also be going out tomorrow for our next DealerOn webinar. 5 awesome internet marketing strategies you should be using. Yeah, that's right. So the question is your dealership's internet marketing strategy in need of a boost? Well, if you're like most dealerships, then the answer to that question is a resounding yes. Well, guess what? I got some people to talk to you. Adam Ruff and Chris Burns of Drive Digital are here to help. They've been successfully assisting dealers with their online marketing for years, and now they're going to share 5 of the most awesome, cutting-edge, effective internet marketing strategies with you in this eye-opening 1-hour webinar. Attendees will learn the top 5 most important things that should be on every internet marketer's radar, and you're going to gain valuable insight and new strategies that can help you sell more new cars, more used cars, and more OEM parts very quickly. While these top 5 areas are not new to car dealerships, their approach is groundbreaking and unique and is sure to bring you quick and dramatic increases to your sales volume if implemented properly at your dealership. The 5 areas that are going to be covered are responsive website design, structured data markup, amplifying relevancy in paid search programs, increasing your advertising ROI, and boosting parts sales. So if you're ready to learn 5 awesome internet marketing strategies you should be using, well, then this is the webinar you just can't afford to miss. Don't forget, DealerOn's weekly webinars are held Thursdays at 12 noon Eastern, 11 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Mountain, and 9 a.m. Pacific. And if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions regarding these webinars and our topics, hey, contact me directly. I'd love to hear from you. My name again is Eliana Raggio. Track me down online, Facebook, Twitter, Google+. I'm on every single one of the automotive social networks, or email me directly at eliana@dealeron.com. And thank you all so very much for spending this time with us today, and I hope to see you all on another webinar in DealerOn's continuing education series. Take care and have a great day.